no, you're not. You need to get up and go get a job. Shows up with a $5,000 check.
Door knocking is the hardest.
Bro, you not know the mark.
This dude left a gun in my closet.
And that's why they're not successful. The worst roofing company. Men, let a woman help you pick the finishes to your house.
Competitive, and my drive to win is crazy.
If I have to be the crazy one.
Damn, he's depressed. So you said you've had consistent $100,000 a month. I don't get along with people that come from money.
Are you embarrassed?
I wish I would have dropped out in 4th grade.
I left school not even knowing how to write a check, how to take care of your credit.
I'm going to get a degree in entrepreneurship. What's going on, everybody? We got Miss Alondra here today, back on our 3rd episode of Hardwired to Hustle. Miss Alondra is a real estate agent based out of Fort Worth, but sounds like she travels a little bit everywhere.
I go where the money calls.
Damn right. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about her industry and what your upbringing was like, how you jumped into it, what was life like before it.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it. So what was Alondra before real estate?
Hustle and bustle, man. It really was. My mom came to the United States with nothing. You know, my sister's on her back, didn't even know how to speak English. And she came and paved the way for us. And I think what I really learned is just seeing her getting up every day, grinding, and never taking no for an answer. And just out throughout life, I remember she always told me, you need to go to school, you need to get a good job, and you just need to work and do what it is you need to do to accomplish the American dream, right?
Right.
So I actually had a goal to work in the medical field because, you know, coming from that background and that childhood, we came from very humble beginnings, you know, like seeing somebody in scrubs was like the ultimate. That's what I need to be in life, right? So that was always my goal, but God had other plans for me. While I was working as a medical assistant, my husband was very involved as an aircraft mechanic. So at that point, we're like, great, we made it. I'm working in the medical field. He's accomplishing what he wants to do in his career. And then he got laid off. And that's whenever things kind of really took a turn for the worse for us because he was having trouble finding another contract. Because if you know about the aviation field, it's all per contract, right?
Right.
And all the jobs that were available to him were out of state. And at that point, our youngest was about to be 2 years old. So he didn't want to leave us because growing up, me and my husband really didn't have a lot of support. Like, we literally, when we say me and him are all we had, we're literally all that we had.
Well, y'all look super young. How old are you?
So I just turned 30.
Dang. Okay. And how old is he?
31.
Dang. Okay.
Yes,
okay. Makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
we just turned 30. And at this, how old were we? 24. I think this is when this had happened. But we've been together since I was 14.
Okay.
Yeah. So
nice.
He is my first, my everything, and anything else in between. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's why it was hard for him to leave, was because he knew I had nobody else to fall back on but him, right?
Yeah.
And then one day he comes across this real estate video. He's like, hey, I'm going to do real estate. I'm like, no, you're not. You need to get up and go get a job. Mind you, I had no idea what real estate even was, what it meant to even own a business, be an entrepreneur. Like, everything that was instilled in me is that you go to school, you get a good job, and you work, and that's it, right? So whenever he's all like, no, I can do it, and he would always just shut me up by telling me, well, do you not have faith? How do you respond to that? You know, like, he would like, I still can visually see us arguing in our kitchen. He's like, well, do you not have faith in me, or do you not have faith that this is going to work out? And it's kind of like slowly, and mind you, my husband came growing up, his parents were super involved in church together. I come from a separated household. You know, it was very inconsistent for me, didn't grow up at church at all. So he actually is who taught me how to have faith in who God really was. So that was really a big step in a shift in our life, because every time I feel like something isn't going to go right, I constantly hear his voice in the back of my head be like, well, do you not have faith?
Yeah. So
then I'm like, you know what? Fine. Go ahead and do it. And I was like, I just let him do his own thing. So he got into wholesaling, into wholesaling. He went to conventions, found some mentors. And all I know is that one day he shows up with a $5,000 check. And I'm like, you know, maybe this real estate thing isn't so bad after all. So I'm like, okay, go. His business started snowballing. He could close deals over the phone. He made $85,000 on a mobile home one time as an assignment. And that's whenever I realized, I'm like, oh, maybe real estate is actually where it's at. And as you know, I was a bookworm, not so much him. So one day I come home from work. He's like, hey, I need you to get your real estate license. I'm like, no, I told you I want nothing to do with that. Like, I'm going to fully support you in your business. I still want to pursue to get my, to be a nurse, because the reason I went in to be a medical assistant is because I found out I was pregnant before applying to nursing school. And I got really sick. I was in and out of the hospital. I couldn't even shower myself. I couldn't eat. I couldn't keep, because how weak and how sick the pregnancy made me. So I already knew I wasn't going to survive nursing school at that point. He goes, no, I just need you to get your real estate license, because I need to have access to the MLS. All the realtors that I'm contacting are not getting the numbers to me quick enough, and I'm losing these deals because these sellers need offers like ASAP so I can sell them to my investors. And he goes, I know if I go to school, I'm not going to pass my test, so I need you to go to school because I know you're going to pass it. I'm like, all right, bet, I'll do it. If it's anything to help your business, I'll go to school and I'll get my real estate license. So sure enough, I was waking up at 6 in the morning, going to work, getting off of work at 5, going straight to Champion School of Real Estate at 6:30, and not getting out until like 10 at night, going home for 6 weeks straight. I didn't see my son, basically. I would leave, he was asleep. I would get home, he was asleep. But I already knew that it was for a greater purpose, right? So finally, I got my real estate license. I'm like, hey, here you go. Do your thing. You got what you need. Let me go back to do whatever it is that I need to do, right? And then slowly, of course, my coworkers saw any moment that I had, I was studying. Because I really need to pass this test on the first time. There's some agents that take the test like 20 times and don't pass it.
Right.
So I was like, I was super invested. I need to get this. I need to pass it. And honestly, too, because I miss my son. I don't want to have to go through this all over again, right? And as time went by, my coworkers were like, hey, can you help me with this? Or they asked me real estate questions, but I never got training. All I really did was just went to school. And when you know what you learn in school and what you do out in the field are two completely different things. Right. So that's whenever God kind of put in my heart, like, hey, what if you give this a chance? You know, what if you do actually pursue real estate? So then that's whenever I joined my first brokerage and I started training. I was still working. I was juggling both. And actually ended up being really good at it. I remember every time I had like a thought of doubt if I was doing the right thing, because I had coworkers, hey, you know, real estate is really hard. You know, a lot of people don't make it. Right. You know, a lot of people fail. And they were kind of trying to shy me away because they already knew I was getting ready to leave. And I will never forget the day that my manager called me to the back office and was like, hey, I've noticed that you've been a little distracted. And I kind of knew this conversation was already coming. So I actually counted how many patients I would room compared to any other medical assistants on the floor with me. And I was rooming the most patients. I was the one, whenever I was rooming I need to say patients, not clients. When I was rooming patients, I was the one doing EKGs, injections, if the doctor needed anything. Like, I was on it. And when my manager sat down, and before that, I was already having thoughts, okay, when am I going to leave? When am I going to make the shift? Right? And every time I will have a thought of doubt, I will look at my phone. Hey, someone told me you're a realtor. I need help to buy a house. I'm like, hey, God, that was one. Let me see if he'll give me other signs. Sure enough, I'll be standing there working, and then that fear would hit. You know, when you feel it in the pit of your stomach, like, man, am I going to make the right choice? Like, should I really take this risk? And my phone would ring. Hey, I heard you're a realtor. I need help. I'm like, okay, God, I'm listening. So whenever my manager called me to the back office to have that conversation with me, that she felt like I was a little distracted, I'm like, well, how so? I'm literally helping people buy a house, and I'm still rooming the most patients here for you guys. How am I the one that's distracted here? I say, you know what? Take this as my 2-week notice. And she goes, no, we don't. I was like, no, because apparently what I'm doing now is never going to be good enough for you guys. So I'd rather just go ahead and leave and pursue this career full time. Not knowing that my 2-week notice fell on the day that I had my very first closing. That was insane. Cool. It happened to be our half day, which worked out. And I can vividly remember me taking off my scrubs, changing into my closing attire, heading to the title company and closing on my first home. And man, it's been
What year was that? Then.
This would have been year 2020 when COVID hit.
Dang. Okay.
No, 2021. I'm sorry, 2021 when COVID hit. What? Nice. It was 2020, yeah. Because I remember being suited and booted and vetting people before they can walk in the clinic to make sure they weren't exposed to COVID and all that fun stuff.
Dang. Okay. Well, I got another question, but we'll get back to that. What was the housing market like during COVID?
It was insane. That's whenever rates were in the 2s and the 3s. Yeah. Everybody was buying a house. Yeah. Houses were selling off the market. If you had money, you were winning. If you didn't, you were SOL. That's one of the reasons why house prices went up so high because I remember I put a house on the market and we received 70 offers in one house.
Okay.
So whenever people, this past 2 years, people are saying, oh, it's a bad time to buy, bro, you do not know the market. Because I've had clients get money back at closing and literally spent no money out of pocket to buy a house just because houses aren't selling. So if house doesn't sell, what does that create? A motivated seller. Yeah, your interest rate sucks, but interest rates aren't the same forever. You have a chance to refinance, you cash in on that equity, bam, you have what, 50, 70K that you can go invest on another house at. And the what I tell my clients, it's never a right or a bad time to buy. It's just whenever you're ready.
Right.
But if you would rather buy in a market to where you can open your bank account tomorrow and look at your bank and be like, my savings still there, I'm good, then why not?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think a lot of self-employed industries definitely hit during COVID. I wasn't in my industry during COVID, but I know that from what I've heard. So what I do is roofing, right? So we go inspect roofs, meet insurance adjusters, close deals. Well, I heard that during COVID, adjusters weren't going out in the field, so it was all digital over the phone. So every house was getting bought, whether it had damage or didn't. So for a roofer, that's good news. You know what I mean?
But I'm curious, how were sales for roofers then?
It was good. It was good from what I've heard. Yeah.
Because on our point, in order for a buyer to win a house in that point, they were waiving inspections.
Ah, okay.
So the way that it works when you're buying a house, right? You make an offer on a house. If seller accepts your offer, you go under contract and you negotiate repairs. Right. Well, if you wanted your offer to be competitive, let's say you as a seller, if you have 3 offers, one buyer is willing to buy your home as is, the next buyer wants a 7-day inspection period, and you still don't even know what they're going to negotiate during inspections. Which offer are you going to pick? The one that's buying your house as is, right? So if there's no, at that point, it got really hard for home inspectors because nobody was doing inspections on their homes.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, so in the roofing industry in particular, it's probably 8% realtor leads. Okay. So a lot of it's going to be self-generated. It's going to be door knocking, most likely during that time. Like I said, I wasn't in the industry at that time, but it was either going to be door knocking, cold calls, Facebook leads, things like that. So we still had business. What my company was, 2020 was the year that they rebranded and opened up in Waxahachie. And I heard that was the best year that they ever had.
Yeah. And I'm assuming it would be on the flip side because now the buyer's moving in and then they're like, okay, what do I need to fix on my house?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think for a lot of self-employed people, COVID was great. But then you hear people that have a 9 to 5, and it's like, COVID was horrible. And then I hear about the 2008 recession. Yeah, right. I hear about that all the time. I hear people, my parents talk about it, and everybody I know, in my circle that's been working for themselves for 20 years. It was great for them. They didn't even know there was a recession.
I'm curious, why do you feel like the percentage on your leads from referrals are so low?
I think it's hard for me to say. So I have a really good buddy. I got a really good buddy, and he's a realtor. I think that a lot of the realtors in my circle are they want to get the deal closed. You know what I mean? So they're figuring out a way, and I get it. You know what I mean? I get
on
it 100%.
On the seller side, cheapest way route, right?
Right. Okay. Seller or whoever he's representing, right? They're figuring out a way to not have to slow anything down.
Yeah.
And with my process, it doesn't slow anything down. I mean, we don't get paid until after y'all sell the house, right? So we have a process to where, let's say that it's the last day of the options period and a storm hits. That's what happened on this house that I bought. Last day of the options period, a storm hit. Well, my company does roofs, right? Yeah. So it didn't slow anything down. We still said, okay, the seller's going to file a claim. We're going to get that taken care of. We're not going to let any of that get in the way. We're still going to close in 15 days like we planned, okay? And then basically they cut a check at closing is how it looks like. Or if we're going the insurance route, not retail, then we just wait for the insurance to pay us. Yeah. So we have a good speed track. And there's a lot of realtors that guys in my company work pretty close with, and they get a lot more leads than I do. Most of my leads come from Facebook ads, things like that. Yeah. But for me, realtor specifically, I've done over 500 homes just in DFW. Yeah. And I would say 13, 14 of them have been realtor leads.
Realtor leads, yeah.
So I wish they were more, you know what I mean? I've got a pretty big circle of realtors, but I don't know. A lot of them are just, they're salespeople, right? They're figuring out a way to get through the process without having to deal with it. They don't want to deal with it, even if it's a speed track. Like, hey, we can still make everything flow properly, but they just don't want to deal with it.
And that's why they're not successful. Because, I asked that question because I'm having that issue now. Like, I sold 25 homes in 3 months, right? And roofs is one of the things that are super important. And at least I'm more buyer heavy than listing heavy. And granted, yes, if I'm representing the buyer, obviously, since my buyer isn't paying for the cost of the roof, that comes from the seller. I feel like I keep my roofers so busy in the beginning, like just by inspection, since I'm buyer heavy, that I feel like the worth ethic lacks on the end. You're like, man, why am I going to tailor to this girl if I'm not getting a deal out of it? I'm like, but it's not, you're not getting a deal out of it yet, right? Because I'm not the easy route realtor. And also, too, really, option periods don't matter because on the contract, whenever you're buying a home, it states that if there's any damage caused by storms after the fact, even while you're in the contract, the seller is still liable to the seller still has to make those repairs,
even
right?
After
because
options period is over?
Even after option period is over, because they have to deliver the property in the condition that it was whenever your buyer first went to go view it. So even then, if we're out of option period, we're in week 2 and we have a bad hailstorm, I still send roofers out there, and the seller still has to put the roof in the condition that it was whenever we first had inspection.
So let's say that they don't want to do the roof. They're like, screw that. I'm not going through insurance. Screw this deal. Does the buyer that you're representing get back their
the earnest money? At that point, if it's something that, if it's out of option period, let's say we already have our option period repairs negotiated and we're out of that period, and then there's a bad hailstorm and the seller says no, yes, my client can get earnest money back, but we can also sue because the seller's not performing on the contract.
Okay. Dang. That's good. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I wish that I would have more realtors that would send, because that's the easiest ones, right? Plus, they get a fat referral bonus.
Yes.
So it works for everybody.
But they don't see it that way. They just, a lot of, the main reason that a lot of realtors aren't successful in the business is because they don't know how to have hard conversations with their clients.
Right.
And something that I love to teach my girls is that avoiding a hard conversation brings short-term comfort, but sets you up for long-term dysfunction.
I like that.
Right?
Okay.
You know, so it's just a hard conversation that you have with your clients. And that's why us as realtors have such bad rep, because we want the easy money.
Right.
Like, nothing is going to hit the fan in 30 days. But your client's going to realize you did a shitty job once their roof leaks. How come you didn't tell me the roofer recommended a new roof and you just told me all it needed was repairs?
I've had realtors ask me to write a report saying that there's not damage.
Yes.
I have had, I had this one lady, she's from my hometown, she's from Waxahachie. She sent me on over 15 inspections. I never got one from her.
Yeah.
And there was a couple that she told me, she's like, if you could just write it on the report, I'll throw you something in the back. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. You got to get somebody else to do that.
Yes. And that's why we got sued. You know, you think this lawsuit that happened with the Association of Realtors was just because of commission fixing. Why do you think people think we're overpaid? Because we do shitty stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. I feel like it's the same in any industry as far as sales or, I feel like it's the same because we get a bad rep too. Roofers make too much money. You know what I mean? For at least amount of work. And I'm all for it. I am all for I'm all for doing less work, making more money as long as everything is morally correct. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna make somebody file a claim that there's no damage. So a lot of roofers will ask for their insurance, go inspect the roof, even if there's no damage, hey, go file. We don't do that.
There's a specific roofing company that if I see them coming a mile away, I'm telling my client no. And you see, I don't want to say their names because I don't want them to serve me a cease and desist. But you see their trucks at every corner. They're sponsoring every brokerage lunch, and they're the worst roofing company ever. And when I'm representing the buyer and the seller is using that specific company, I'm like, you know what is better to walk? Because it's. But I'm glad. Is their logo
blue?
Yeah. Their logo's blue, and they're everywhere. Yeah. And the reason that they're everywhere is because they pay for all these brokerages lunches, and they're like, oh, they're the best. No, if you're a good realtor, stay away from the roofing company with the blue logo. Yeah. I'm doing you a favor. But you said something very important. A lot of people do this for the money. Right. But whenever you do it for the money, the long-term business doesn't come. Right. You have to do right by your clients first, and the money is just going to be the cherry on the top, and doing it the right way. Because I've received the same thing where I have two conflicting results, and I have to call the other agent. I'm like, put yourself in my shoes. You know what you're doing isn't wrong. So are you saying the report is fake? I'm like, the report could be fake, but the pictures don't lie. Right. You know, so it's just one of the.
Yeah. Do you have dogs at home?
Yes.
Okay.
That's probably right. She's.
Well, I can't because she don't have booster shots yet.
Oh, okay.
So the vet just told me yesterday. What's she doing? She's not. The vet. So we just took her to the vet yesterday, and she's like, so we got her from Pet Dreams. This is so off track, but we got her from Pet Dreams, which I thought was the most badass pet store ever, right? Because they had all different types of breeds. They had fluffy Frenchies, Bulldogs, Cane Corsos, Dobermans, everything. But the way they do their dogs is they give them all their booster shots within a week. So it doesn't give their immune system time to build into
Yeah.
it, right? So none of those shots really count. So this whole time, dude, I took this dog to the club on Saturday for my birthday. Like this whole time, I'm thinking she's fine.
Oh,
Like she's
you're
got
that guy.
yeah, right, yeah, exactly. So the whole time I'm thinking she's gonna be fine. She's got booster shots, and I take her to the vet yesterday, and she's like, "Do not let nobody with dogs touch this dog. Do not take this dog on real grass. Like she doesn't have any booster shots. Like you can't count it as real."
Aw.
So yeah, I'm super sketchy
But
about
no,
it right
that's
now.
good that they do that because I actually cured my son from seizures because of vaccines.
Really?
And the reason that they delay him that way is because their body doesn't release all of the toxins at the same time. So essentially, they're just giving her body enough time to receive it, release the toxins from that, and get the next one. So,
yeah, because they're supposed to do it 3-week increments, right? So they'll do one. So it's three booster shots.
Oh my gosh, pediatricians should follow that schedule. They should follow that schedule for humans.
Exactly. So it's so for if they can do it for dogs,
getting better vaccine treatments than kids. That's follow us on the next podcast.
Exactly.
That's a combo for another day.
Exactly. So I took her to the vet. I'm like, dude, that's crazy because we took her to dinner. Well, I take her everywhere. She's on the road with me. You know what I mean? I take her to. We're working in Anna, Texas right now a lot because of the hailstorm. I'm taking her out there every day with me. I took her to dinner at my birthday dinner on Saturday night. I took her to the club afterwards. Like she's with me everywhere. And then come to find out yesterday, she's like immune system horrible.
Do you guys do gutters?
Do what?
Gutters?
We do everything. Yeah. Okay, so anything on the exterior.
I need a roof inspection. I need gutters, and then I need a bid for a spec home we're building.
I need a realtor that actually refers me some leads.
I got you.
And not just tells me to put a bad report.
No, I'll be like, let me know what actually needs to be done. I fight for my clients. And we're in a business where we have to teach other people how to think.
Yeah.
You know, just because you have X amount of years in the business doesn't mean that you've been even taught the right way or doing it the right way. Like, I think one of the biggest pieces why I have been able to be successful is like I have to put other people in my shoes. We're in an industry where it's all about me. It's how I feel, my perspective. Like, no, you have to have a clear's eye view on other party side. At the end of the day, we're all on the same team.
Right.
We all have the same goal: to close and make money and make sure we did it the right way.
And that's what I tell my guys is because so like right now this year, so there was a storm that hit in March. I set the state record. Well, I set the nationwide record for the most amount sold in residential roofing in 22 days.
Wow.
So I sold that. It was 1.3 million. It was a lot. I'm done. I'm basically done door knocking. I don't ever want to door knock again. There were so many customers. This was a big book of business. I could not. I handled it, but it drained me. Right. So I'm like, I'm not door knocking anymore. I'm working straight referrals.
Hey, but at least you did it.
Exactly.
That's what this generation forgets, that you have to do the hard stuff first. Don't compare your journey to where I am now, because a lot of people that are entering this industry, they just see where we're at now.
Yeah.
But we didn't go and showcase what got us here. You know, the times that we were stood up by clients, the times where we didn't know what we were doing.
Nobody understands the customer service that goes along with it, especially if you're doing it right. Yeah. And that's what I'm getting into. Like I tell my guys all the time, you treat people like your grandmother, not like your mom. You treat them like your grandmother, because nobody's going to step on grandma. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you take care of them and they will pay you back 100%.
And all it is just explaining to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Educating. Yeah.
People just assume that they know what I'm talking about. Sometimes my husband's a contractor too, my builder, right? Yeah. And sometimes he gets frustrated. And then whenever he actually remodeled our house, I was a crazy client. I'm like, oh my gosh, why is it like this? Why is it like that? I'm like, it's because you don't understand. And then that's whenever it hit me. I'm like, the way that you're breaking it down for me, you need to break it down for your clients. Right. You can't just assume that I know that this is the process and the flow of it, right? Yeah. Because he was getting really frustrated with the client. I'm like, and he was telling me, I'm like, I'm on her side. I would think the same thing. Yeah. You have to explain it and break it down to her. It's literally that simple. Taking that extra time just to explain the process and set expectations.
Right. And it's the same in both industries. So in mine, they're dealing with insurance. What is everybody's thought when it comes to insurance and filing a claim? It's going to raise my deductible. It's going to raise my premiums.
It's going to cost me more money.
Right. But nobody knows that each homeowner is applicable to at least one claim per year if there's hail in the area. Yeah. So we have, it's a full educational process. Everybody's nervous at first. Nobody wants a solicitor. You know what I mean? Yeah, so going to somebody's door, and that's what more people don't understand either. Door knocking is the hardest. It's one of the hardest sales. It's not a car salesman that sits at a car dealership all day waiting for somebody to walk in ready to buy a car. You know what I mean? We're going to the doors. We're trying to convince somebody to do something that they already think is like against the law. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can't file a claim. My premium's they're going to go up. That would be so stupid. Yeah. So it's an educational process and everything. And I know it's the same with y'all, because when I bought my house, my realtor, like I said, he's a good buddy of mine. He did a really good job explaining it to me. Our deal was so shabby though. The buyers, I mean, I'm the buyer, the sellers, dude, they were the worst. Like it ended it ended in, even after 3 weeks of us closing the deal, me and this dude are cussing each other out on the phone.
Yeah.
Because I had to do the roof. So there was so much that went along with it. They left a bad Google review on us for inspecting the roof the day of the storm. Whenever I'm buying the house.
But it's on the contract.
Dude, it was horrible. And
it's
not only that.
It's the casualty loss clause on the 104 contract that the seller signed. And sometimes you just need to send them a screenshot. Don't forget, your client signed this. And I've already did everything. I held on my end on the contract. Now your client has to hold it.
You seem like you go to bat for your clients for sure.
Oh, yeah. And but then again, that's something that their agent should have, because whenever I'm breaking down the contracts for my clients, I highlight, hey, I want to make sure that you're sure about buying this house, because you can't just wake up one day and be like, you know what? I had a nightmare. This house isn't for me. I don't want to buy it. I just want to let you know, not only do you lose your earnest money, but the seller could sue you.
Yeah.
And I highlight it and I make sure, because we're in a business where people love to say, you didn't tell me that.
Right. You got to have it in writing.
And
my buddy did a really good job explaining everything to them. He's also just he's a super proper business guy, which I like. I respect. You know what I mean? I love the way he's proper. I love the way he fought for me 100%.
Yeah.
But the seller's representative, so we had like $2,000 in repairs. It was nothing crazy, right?
Yeah.
But they had some back patio furniture by the pool that I was wanting. So I'm like, I'll tell you what, you don't have to make any of those repairs, but leave the back patio furniture. Yeah. That's pretty nice. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a fair trade. Leaves it there. The house you're buying doesn't have a pool, so you don't need it.
Yeah.
They said that, okay, we'll leave it. They take it. So I come to move in, and all the furniture's gone. I'm like, hey, what's going on?
Did they sign a non-realty item addendum?
It wasn't on paper, the count of the items. So they left some.
Yeah.
So they left like a chair and a table, but it was like the way it was written up is the back patio furniture. It wasn't this,
it has to be itemized.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they took advantage of that. So then this dude left a gun in my closet. Okay, first off, I'm a felon. I can't have a gun anyway.
Yeah, they're setting you.
Yeah, so he left a gun.
Run it up on tax.
Yeah. So he left a gun. He left all this, all types of crazy stuff. Well, he still owed us $13,000 for the roof that the insurance had released to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so he still got our money. And so he's calling me about the gun. He's like, let me get the gun back. Da 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 da. I'm like, look, dude, pay me my money, and I'll get you your gun back.
Which is on the contract as well.
Exactly. Well, also, I'm pretty sure Texas law is what's the verbiage about if somebody leaves something in a house?
Yeah, it's an as is state.
Yeah, exactly. So he left the gun. I really could have took it, but I'm a felon and I'm not playing with that. You know what I mean? So I had my pops come get it, and he's like not wanting to pay the money. He's like, me paying you that money and my gun has nothing to do with it. So long story short, like 3 to 4 weeks later, after we closed on the house, me and this dude are still cussing each other out over the phone.
Yeah.
It was nuts. So safe to say that my first time buying a home was not a good process.
And it's like that a lot. That's why no matter how nice they are to you, how friendly they may seem, I teach my girls, do everything by the book and CYA, because the moment it goes south, it's your fault.
Yeah. So you've said it a couple times now. You tell your girls, so do you have a team under you?
I have a team. Yeah, I have a team of 7 girls. Nice. Yes. And I don't run a traditional team. Okay. So my girls get to keep their sales. A lot of real estate teams, whenever, let's say, and I guess majority of them, I run more of a mentorship than an actual team. So the way that it works, I have 7 girls who I mentor, but whatever they sell goes under their name. Other teams don't work that way. They have them essentially as buyer's agents. So whatever their team, whatever their girls sell, it would go under my name if I ran my team traditionally. But then how good does that do for my people whenever they want to start their own team or open their own brokerage and somebody looks them up and they have no sales to show for because I took credit for everything that they sold. So I generally run more of a mentorship program than an actual team where I'm just like, okay, here, go do this for me, and then I take all the credit for it.
Do you charge an upfront cost for mentorship? No? Okay. That's pretty cool.
I guess I should, and a lot of people tell me I should, but I'm just a firm believer that you receive what you put out. You know, whoever does wrong by me is not something that I had to take revenge on. Like, God takes care of the people for me, and He's showed me like tenfold. Kind of like that saying says, you wish bad on me, but I don't know who you're praying to because it didn't work. And my life has literally been testimony of that. So, unfortunately, some people are just not going to be grateful for what you do for them. But that's more of something that shows who they are as a person, more of a reflection of
No, for sure. Have you ever thought about opening up your own brokerage?
My husband, yes. A lot of people tell me, but really.
Are you pushing for it?
Yeah, he's pushing for
100%.
It's,
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but I have a bigger vision than just being a broker. I actually want to be a developer. Like, I want to get into commercial develop. I want to own land. Like, I want to be able to drive around and be like, I own that, go to different states, I own that. Having a brokerage just take a lot of work, and I feel like just how fast everything is moving. Honestly, I don't think it'll make me as much money as that I could make. Right. Focusing on other things.
Right. Do y'all know who Eric Crutchfield is?
Yes, that's.
Yeah. Yes. Do what?
Yeah,
something I look up to.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually got on a Zoom call with him whenever he was first starting out with his mentorship.
Yeah.
And man, I wanted to get into development for a little bit. When you have cash sitting around, if you're like me, it's like, what's my next move? You know what I mean? Because I don't want to lose it. Because if I don't spend it,
or just sit and not grow.
Exactly.
Because I'm horrible. If I go something, I deserve it. Drop it. You know.
Yeah.
Every time, we don't go out anymore. But when I would used to, they would always give me a pep talk. Right. Don't buy a table. Don't buy bottles. I'm like, okay, as soon as I walk in, give me the best table and bottle you got. Right. Like I was that girl. Yeah. So I'm the same way.
Yeah. So Eric, he was starting. It wasn't when he was. I take that back. It wasn't when he was first starting out. This was like almost a year ago, probably. I hopped on a Zoom call with him, and I look up to him too. I see him at the mall all the time, and so I'm like, I want to get into it. I actually stopped putting money in my bank account and started putting it in other things, whether that's I have a Charles Schwab account that's long-term investments, high stake, everything like that, or I'll put in Robinhood and my own crypto and my own options.
Do you have a
like
financial advisor?
I do.
I need a referral because I need a financial advisor too. Cause I like seeing my money there, but I need to start putting it in investment accounts too, so it could grow.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story of how I met the one that I have now. It's actually pretty cool. I'll get to that in a second. So Eric. His mentorship, for a true mentorship, and it's good if you think about it, but I just can't stand the thought of it as a contractor. So I don't know if you've talked to him, but it's $50,000 for 100% guidance on your first development. Okay, so that's all of the subs, which I have every sub. If you're like me, I have every sub for anything. I can build a house from the ground up. It is for the lenders, hard money lenders, whoever. Basically, anything that you need to build this piece of property, and it's for sure that you're going to get a return, right? But the way I think of it, I'm a DIY guy. You know what I mean? I'm trying to watch YouTube. Yeah. I want to meet my own lenders and make my own connections in real life, in the wild. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to just get introduced to somebody. Yeah. Got friends that know celebrities, but I'm not going to say, hey, can I go? Let me go to Nashville with you to meet whoever. Meet
a private investor really quick.
Exactly. So I'm not that type of person.
And
I
honestly,
like to.
Sometimes people don't even like to give you that information. Like I've peeped that a lot. We've already built and sold a spec home.
Right. Okay.
The one thing that I feel like helped is all like, for any reason this girl's gonna pay because she got it.
Right.
And that's what really helps. So, because that's essentially the same thing. My husband, he really thought it was gonna be hard, and then he built it. He goes, "This is a piece of cake."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to jump into it. I feel like it's something. It's kind of like meeting my fiance. We met in the wild. You know what I mean? I don't want somebody to introduce me to all these people and it be a handout. I want to be at a restaurant or something to somehow meet a lender. Kind of like my financial advisor. It's a pretty cool story. So my company. They've got some pretty cool things going on to where we met a lot of Wall Street guys. Okay. Met a lot of Wall Street guys. And then, this guy manages Ralph Lauren's family money and he's out of Dallas.
Yeah.
So long story short, I got introduced to him and it's been great. I started off with him like $400,000.
Yeah.
I don't know what he put it all in. I know some of it was a money account, something to where it's just growing to 6%.
Mm-hmm.
And then stocks and everything like that. But I gave this to like $400,000. And in the 3 months I've been using them, it's at like $417,000. Wow. So for your money to just sit there and grow
$17,000 in 4 months,
it's pretty nuts.
Yeah,
so
that's solid.
Yeah, dude's legit. But yeah, same thing. Like whenever it comes to Eric, hats off to the dude. The dude makes so much fucking money. You know what I mean? He's definitely great, and he's got a cool story. My story is pretty similar. Came home from prison, and kind of just got right to it. And that's what he did. So hats off to him. He's killing it. But I can't personally. I pay $100,000 a year for a mentorship.
Yeah.
Okay. A true mentorship.
Yeah.
I'm in a brotherhood. I get a lot of connections with that, but I just don't see the value in paying somebody 50 grand for
because
a
you
one-time
already
build.
you already have subs.
Right.
You already, if you wanted to, you already
Right.
have the money to build to
Yeah.
start, even for like a small 3-bed,
Yep.
2-bath, 1,800 square foot home, and
Right.
then eventually build luxury from there. Your biggest asset is going to be your realtor.
Right.
Because people assume, oh, this lot's for sale, I'm going to build on it, I'm going to make money. No.
Right.
You have to put yourself in a buyer's mindset whenever you're getting ready to build your development.
Yeah.
And especially the price point that you're going to build into, right? Because right now, land is scarce. Like, it's not there, right? Well,
Right.
now if you're going to want to build in a good area where it's going to guarantee you your return of investment.
Tearing down old homes.
You have to tear it down and then be making sure that the numbers are in there, because people pay attention to everything. Like I said, I'm very buyer heavy more than seller heavy.
Right.
So one of the things that I learned and what I hear my clients when they're driving route, they love the house, but they didn't buy it. What is so-and-so going to think that there's a mobile home 2 blocks down? What is so-and-so going to think that there's a convenience store around the corner? I didn't like how the houses look driving in. That's the biggest thing where most developers fail and they lose money on their investments, is because they just see the lot and the opportunity, but they don't think of the type of buyer that's going to come and buy their home.
Right. Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of the BRRRR method?
Yes.
Have you? Have you ever tried dabbling with it?
No, my husband has. I haven't. So my everything that I know about investments, I learned it from him.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
he's the one who's helped investors do the BRRRR method. So maybe that's.
You know a little bit about the BRRRR method?
I do a little bit. Yeah.
So what is something you would tell the people watching Hardwired to Hustle, a do and a don't when it comes to development?
The development,
Yeah.
know the area that you're buying in, watch your market on days, pay attention to the trends, pay attention to the interior design. Men, let a woman help you pick the finishes to your houses. What you like is not what the same buyer is going to like. That's one of the biggest reasons that a lot of houses don't sell. And I've worked with a lot of builders that are men, that are Hispanic, that are like, no, it's what I say goes. And then they're calling me, why hasn't my house sold? Well, look at the color on the countertops that you picked.
Yeah.
You know, being aesthetic doesn't have to be expensive.
Right.
The house that we built, North Side, was super aesthetic. It built as 181 and we sold for 335. 330. We sold for 330.
Nice.
So that's what lot and
Nice.
build costs already included.
Yeah.
Right? We saved the 3% on my end and we paid the realtor 3%.
Nice.
In an area where houses don't sell. And
What
we
city was
sold
it
in
in?
2 weeks. Fort Worth.
Oh, Fort Worth? Okay.
Yeah, it was in North by the stockyards of
Okay.
Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had no backyard. We had front yard. So we already had that as a disadvantage.
So I bought this house for $500. I plan on in a couple of years selling it, hopefully for 6, 7. And I've already done a lot to it. And something that I've learned too is something that you may think is adding value doesn't
not
really
add
add value.
value.
You know what I mean?
No.
It's the small things, right?
Yes.
What are some things that you've seen that surprisingly add value to a home?
Maintenance. Having a new roof, having a new HVAC, having keeping up with your plumbing, new water heater. Those are the biggest things that an appraiser is going to give you value on. An appraiser is not going to give you value if you buy a 2-1 and you add and you convert the garage to make it a 3rd bedroom. Because whenever they look at something that's called conformity.
Right.
So whenever they're running comps on your area, appraiser is going to look at, okay, what houses have converted their garage into a bedroom? And if there's none, they're not even going to give you half of the credit as a bedroom as they should be. Because typically they'll give you an extra $8,000 to $10,000 for additional bedroom.
Okay.
But if there's nothing else in the neighborhood that has sold that converted a garage into a bedroom, you're not going to get the value. Or and also appraisers don't go based off of price per square footage.
Okay.
So those are the biggest things to look for. And if you're taking away a garage to make a bedroom, they have to take away value because you no longer have a garage and everybody else in the neighborhood does.
I gotcha.
So that's the biggest thing. And also to investors, please, a buyer would prefer to have a new sewer line than pretty countertops.
Right.
Because I've worked with so many investors that make the house look so pretty, and then the buyer's getting inspections and they're pissed at me that they need new plumbing. But why? Why does it need new plumbing?
They poured the money into the countertops.
I was like, well, I got an inspection on it. I'm like, well, do you know that a general home inspector doesn't inspect your plumbing? Crickets. You knew that sewer line was bad. You just didn't know that the realtor was going to get it inspected properly.
Right.
And actually, that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed they shift within the home buying experience now and after that lawsuit is that realtors are actually working. Now they're actually educating their buyers. Hey, there's more to inspections than just a general home inspection. We need to get your sewer scope.
Yeah.
We need to get your roof inspected.
Yeah.
We need to get additional inspections.
Yeah.
Right?
Something with my home, like I said, I just closed on it April 1st. I moved in.
Okay.
And last month, AC, I had to get the whole new unit replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And this house is a 2020 build.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I had to get a whole new AC unit.
Yeah, you still have
$9,000.
to get your plumbing check. You know how many new construction homes, 2025 builds, we get the sewer scoped and they're all clogged up with construction debris. Builders install units that don't even have the capacity to cool the square footage that the house has. And then I have to fight with the builders to show me energy reports stating that those units actually work.
Right.
And actually, the guy who poured our foundation used to pour foundations for builders, and they have other inspectors on payroll. So they just go, green tag, you're good. And they're actually not good.
Wow. Dang.
So the more you know.
You're definitely opening my eyes to things I did not know.
Yes, and these are things that people are scared to talk about, and that's that's one thing about me. Like, if I have to be the crazy one in the room, so be it. I will be the crazy one. My numbers speak for themselves.
Right. No, for sure. Mm-hmm. So, and that's something I do want to get into with you. So, you've been in real estate since 2020. So you're running on almost 6 years.
Yes, and I didn't start becoming successful until year 3.
Okay. It makes sense. That's for most. That's for most self-employed.
I failed a lot. You know, a lot of what I know now is because my clients were calling me, my plumbing is bad.
Right.
And that's when I learned, we're supposed to get plumbing inspections.
Right.
That's to not let you know when I failed and I messed up, you know, and that's something that I teach my girls too. I was all like, I will teach you from all my failures to make sure that you don't make those mistakes.
Yeah, and I did the same thing. I was lucky. So I started roofing I came home from prison March 22nd, 2023, and I started roofing April 30th, 2023.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy. I just thought about that. Dang near 2 years into roofing, I bought my first home. So my first calendar year, I sold 2.5 million, but my first April to December, it was 860,000, but I had a lot of mistakes. There was a lot of things that I learned that I definitely could have done better.
Yeah.
And that's definitely customer service 100%, being with the customer every step of the way. And I feel like learning what I learned that first year, taking into my second year. So me and one other guy, his name's Brinson, he works with Miller Storm, and he's in, I can't remember the city, but me and him tied for first place in Texas, 2.5 million sold. And that's where I got a lot of recognition because I was able to, and kind of like what you just said, it took you 3 years to start transitioning and really start being successful with it, which for most self-employed people or new business owners, it's 3 years, right? Yeah. 3 years is when you start seeing an ROI.
If you're actually going to make it.
Yeah. So, and that's whenever I started investing in myself too. I learned that, so like realtors, I don't know how it works with y'all, but y'all do a lot of marketing, right? Social media marketing. Y'all get y'all's own signs with your faces on it and everything like that. Now, I don't know if the brokerage pays for that for y'all, but for us, we
pay for it
exactly.
Ourselves.
So investing in yourself, marketing is key.
Our brokers just take, but they don't give.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, we get an overhead on our company, and I'm GM, so I've got a better write-up than most people, right?
Yeah.
But so for me, my first calendar year, I learned, and I really didn't learn it till this year. So I had that half year and then full calendar year. And then my full calendar year, even though I did great, I learned what to do better, right?
Yeah.
So I learned marketing is key.
Oh, yeah.
Every month this year, I can say I've spent at least $22,000 on marketing every month. And it has been mind-blowing what it's done for me, right? Because I haven't had to knock doors since March. You know what I mean? It's all been referrals.
Yeah.
And that's from homeowner to another homeowner. That's been from leads coming in on my Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been everything. So marketing is 100% key. So how much would you say that you're pouring into marketing per month? Nothing?
I do it myself.
Really?
My ROIs are chef's kiss. I've sold 15 million this year.
Nice.
And I think I've only paid a videographer to do 3 of my videos. So he is my video guy. I edit everything.
Nice.
Everything that you see on my social media, he films, I edit. Or I film and I edit and I do everything myself. That's something that's crazy about, will ask me the same question. How do you do it? And I'm like, it's literally all God and my hard work. Right. I've never paid for mailers. I've never paid for leads.
Nice.
I don't send out just solds. I don't send out, hey, I'm your local realtor. Call me to sell your house. Everything has come from social media and
Right.
referrals.
Nice.
But I know that my coach gets on to me because I do need to invest in it.
Right.
You know, but I'm a control freak.
If you're making the money you're making without investing into it, that's awesome.
Imagine
Yeah. And I felt that.
and
Like last year, I made $760,000 last year.
Yeah.
And for me, not spending $1 on marketing, that's like, shit, I don't need marketing, but I try to find ways to be different.
I'm actually at that number right now.
Really? Year to date? Nice. So for me, it's kind of like, okay, I did great, but what's the next level? And that's what we tell a lot of our guys. We have a lot of $1 million producers, right? They sell $1 million of roofs a year, which to me now, everybody in my company should sell at least $1 million, right? Whenever I first came to the company, that was there was no way anybody's selling $1 million. Then I did it. You know what I mean? Well, first, this guy that's been doing it for a while, he did it. Yeah. Then I did it. And it's kind of like, okay, everybody should be selling $1 million. But for me, it's kind of, what's the next step that I can take to get even better? And that's what we tell our guys. Like, you will always be $1 million producer and nothing more if you don't follow the process and you don't think outside the box.
Yeah.
So putting your face on a sign is huge, because for us, customers call into the office off a yard sign. Yeah. Well, if it just says Men Exteriors, that's going to anybody, right, for the lead. But if it's Men Exteriors call Colin with my face on it, it's going to Colin. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I've done my math on my ROI for Facebook leads, right? So if I spend $22,000 a month, I'm making 61 back. So it's a good return. But just finding that next step on how to be different, I would recommend for you. You look like you've got a pretty good following on Instagram. I think you got like 13K. I haven't been consistent like I need to be. I probably don't do what you do. How many times do you post a week?
I just post my closings now. Okay. I used to post like house tours, informational videos, and since I've gotten so busy, majority of what I post is either vacation photos or my closings. You know, because this other realtor said this and I really loved it. My resume is my social media, stalk it. Right. And if you're looking for a realtor, you want to make sure that they're posting closing videos or closing pictures. And if you go to a realtor's page and all you see is house tours, they're not selling houses.
Gotcha.
Right. Gotcha. Granted, some of my clients don't want to be on social media, so I don't have all of my closings on my social media, but about 75% do want to be on my social media. It's one of the biggest misconceptions and why a lot of people don't have good home buying experiences, because they pick the Instagram famous realtor that has all the pretty house tours on their profiles, but there's no video. They're not closing deals. They're just spending all day going out and recording house tours. So don't be surprised that you go to an agent that's unexperienced or not knocking anybody that's new in the business. But if you're hiring an agent who's new, you need to be interviewing their mentor too. Does their mentor have skin in the game? Who's going to be walking you through this process along with me? If you're new, I expect 2 realtors for the price of 1. If I'm going to give you my business, right? So I do need to get better on that. And honestly, I think what really held me back this year on taking that next step was my girls. I don't just want to just focus on me. I want to make sure that
it's not easy.
I want to make sure that they're good, that they're doing right by their clients, that nothing is falling through the cracks. And I think me taking on these 7 girls really showed me that I probably don't want to take on anymore. Like, I'm going to train them to be exactly like me. And then I may start an actual team where I do have buyer's agents helping me with my clients. And whichever one of my girls wants to stick with me and be that with me, cool. And if they don't, I think that will probably be the next step for me, because sometimes I do have an influx of leads that fall through the cracks, as I can't handle them all by myself because I don't have the proper. I know what they look like. I think it's just more of a trust factor. Be like, are you going to take care of my baby the way that I do?
Definitely having the processes in place is what's going to make a team successful. I've got 31 guys under me. I run a full company, so trust me, I know. And it's crazy too, because I'm still number 1 in sales, which it pisses me off. You know what I mean? Because first off, I'm super competitive. My first year coming in that April to December, I got beat by a dude that's been in the industry for 20 years. But for me, it's like, fuck that. You know what I mean? I'm not getting beat again. I don't care. I'd never even been on a roof before, unless I was breaking into a house or something, right? So I didn't know much about it, but still, I'm so competitive, and my drive to win is crazy, to where I don't care if this guy's been in the industry for 20 years. I want to beat him. So he sold like 1.7 that year. I sold that 860, and then the next year I sold 2.5. Made him leave the company. He left. He didn't even want to stick around anymore. But having a team under me now, I haven't got to focus on my sales as much. It's been mainly building these guys up, right?
Yeah.
Because you get to a point to where it's like, okay, I've done what I want to do. Obviously, still have goals and not content in any way, but I've done what I want to do. Now it's time to focus on other people because growing generational wealth for others is something that money can't buy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
sure.
Getting to see, I've got guys that came in driving a 1998 Ford Ranger. Nate came in driving a 1998 Mitsubishi truck. I'd never even seen it before.
Yeah.
But he came in driving that. Dude was broke as a joke. He came from Best Buy. Now he's made like $300,000 this year.
Yeah.
So being able to build a team and making other guys successful to where they can provide for their family and they can do things that they've always wanted to do. He's fixing to take like a 10-day trip out of the country. You know what I mean? So doing things like that is definitely something that money can't buy. And it hits a spot to where it's like, you know, it's a lot of work, but it definitely pays off.
And I'm sure you've you know a good wealth of network, right? Successful people.
Yeah.
What do you feel like they all have in common?
A lot.
Yeah. What would be the two biggest qualities that you take away from them, though?
From super wealthy people?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all very giving, right? So there's a lot of the multimillionaires that I know, they're definitely willing to give knowledge. Another thing, which probably isn't the answer that you're looking for, but they're super unhappy. They're all super unhappy. Every single rich person I know, super unhappy. That every person I know.
My husband's all like, "Why are you so?" I'm like, "Bro, how come you don't talk to your clients that way?" I'm like, "Because I can't. Trust me, if I could, I would." But
yeah, I mean, a lot.
No, that's real.
I'm
glad you said that
qualities,
because you can ask my girls. They will look at me and they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, everything's gonna be fine." Because at the end of the day, I know it's gonna be fine. But it's a big mental game.
Yeah, 100%.
I have a lot of people always asking me, "I want to get my real estate license. I want to get my real estate license." Sometimes I don't even know how to respond to them.
Right.
To where I don't want to discourage them, but it's not just like, "Oh, I dress up pretty and I get to go film and walk these pretty houses and drink mimosas on a random Wednesday at a broker's open." It is so much more than that. And the giving part, that's really true. And I think something that I've noticed too, you know, I've been around a lot of billionaires, like, they're just internally like there.
Yeah.
You know, they walk in such a favor, although they know that they're drowning, but they still walk in this like, everything is going to work out mindset.
Yeah.
And you said giving, and something that we've learned in church too, like, how can you receive if your fists are closed?
Right.
How do you give?
Right.
With open hand.
And when I say giving too, obviously, and you know what I mean, it's not, hey, here's a handout, right? But it's they're very willing to give knowledge.
They're not gatekeeping, or they're not scared of someone being more successful than them. I think that's the biggest thing that we've run into. Is just like, I'll let you sit at my table and I'll give you a piece of cake, but I want all of the cake to myself.
Yeah. No, for sure. A lot of I've never met a billionaire. I've actually never met a billionaire, but I've met some probably almost billionaires, high 100 millions. But every single, and it kind of, I think about it a lot.
They definitely do. It's their Adam Sandler vibes. At least the ones I've met, and they tell me like their portfolio, and I'm like,
like Mark Cuban said it best. The guy, I can't remember how he worded it, but basically, the guy that has nothing to prove shows up with the suit jacket and no tie, right? But the people that still have something to prove, they show up with a tie.
Yeah.
Rich people, they don't care what they look like. They'll go to Ruth's Chris dressed like...
And trying to prove you are somebody is a disservice to who you really are anyways. Right. Because if you really hold that value, why do you need to prove it?
Right, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. But have you noticed that too, that every rich person that y'all have probably met too, they seem okay on the outside. Yeah. But then they'll say small things that's like, damn, he's depressed. You know what I mean? Like, and I noticed that too. Like the more money I've made, it is a mental game. It's very draining for sure. Like I'll go to therapy now because I'm just like it's been fucking nuts. You know what I mean? So
please go see therapy. Is good.
So I've found that it is a mental game, and there's a lot of things that you have to work through because, especially like a month like that March that I had, I went so hard. I went so hard to where nothing else mattered. It was all in. You know what I mean? So the mental drain is there.
The month I sold 15 houses in 1 month, I'm still recovering.
Yeah, I feel that.
I'm still recovering
too. Like,
and I'm like, and I took a breather, and but people don't realize like and it's like, it's so sad because how do you explain it to someone? Because someone else who only aspires to do what we're doing.
Right.
My gosh, you're so lucky. You should be so grateful. And then that's even a bigger like slap in the face for
Yeah.
us, like
Yeah.
to ourselves, because we're like, it reminds us like, I prayed
Right.
for where I'm at now. Why doesn't it feel as great as I thought it was going to feel?
Yeah.
And
'Cause
that's
it's a lot of hard work. That shit's draining for sure. Yeah, I just thought about that with millionaires, and I can't even imagine because I'm not, high $100 million millionaire,
Yeah.
right? But I can already feel the drain.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that whenever I am a $100 millionaire, billionaire, it's less work.
Yeah.
I feel like I already don't do a lot to make the money that I make. I know
Yeah.
people that work way harder. I know guys that pour concrete and make $70,000 a year. You know what I mean? And I do way less work. So why am I so drained? You know what I mean? I think it's just a stress of winning. It's the stress of winning because
we're still in flight or fight mode because
Yeah.
that's all we know. Like
Yeah.
our bodies are used to of like, if I don't go,
Yeah.
it's going to go away.
Yeah.
You know?
What is it called? Cortisol level?
Yeah,
fight or
and why
flight.
people get sick after they come back from vacation.
Right.
That happens to me all
Yeah.
the time. It's like the time that your brain turns off and then you come back and you're like, did I eat something bad? They're like, no, ma'am, your body just got a break from stress and now you're feeling it.
Yeah, I think all entrepreneurs definitely suffer that, finding that. I mean, it's always fight or flight. It's what's the next move? Because if I don't make the move now, I'm super impulsive. I do things
Same.
right away. You know what I mean?
You have ADHD?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, bad. Yeah, I actually
I'm very impulsive too.
Here's a perfect example, a $250,000 example. I went to the dealership one day to look at a G-Wagon, just to look. But then I saw a Urus with my company colors. And I bought it that day. I'm like, I'm not, and it was priced $15,000-$20,000 over value, but I didn't care. You know what I mean? I'm like, shit, it's like, it's meant to be. And so I'm very impulsive. I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm on the go. You know, everything, it has to be right now. It has to be right now. And I think that it's a quality that I like of myself. My fiance is completely different. You have to have, and I'm sure both of y'all have different qualities that help each other. Like my fiance, she's not a risk taker.
Yeah.
She's a sit and think about it for a few days. And I love that because I'm completely different.
Balances.
Yeah. See, I'm completely different. I'm like, if I want this, I want it now.
Yeah.
If I think I should move on this, I'm going to do it right now. Like Eric almost sold me on that $50,000 program because I'm like, shit, I should do it. You know what I mean? But she talked me out of it. She's like, hold on, think about it. Take a couple days, take a breather. And I did. Luckily, I had enough time to think about it and figure out it probably wasn't the purchase I needed to make at the time.
Yeah.
So
take that $50K, go buy yourself a lot and
exactly. So it's good to have that equal balance for each other. I actually had a bunch of questions for you. We kind of went, we squirreled everywhere, but I think it's been pretty freaking good.
I told you I'm a professional yapper.
I know, I'm the same way. I could talk forever.
Same. It's always the kids who got in trouble for talking in class that are out here.
Yeah, they called me an attention seeker.
Same.
Yeah. So are you first gen?
Yes.
You are? So is my fiance.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. So what do your parents do?
So my mom works for Marriott. She works on a cook. She's been working for Marriott for 30 years. My dad works at construction. He's the one who installs all the utility light posts.
Okay.
Still, my parents are 68. Still hustling. Same with my dad. Of course, my parents always been separated. So my dad does have my stepmom and my stepsister, and he has his own family.
I feel like that's super untraditional in the Hispanic household, especially like they're from Mexico. I feel like that's super untraditional.
Yeah, my mom had a very hard upbringing, a lot of trauma, a lot of things that we had to learn, and I had to show her grace for, which I think played a big part. I also teach my girls healing. What I tell all of my girls who want to come with me, like, I don't just want you to leave my team or my presence just being a good real estate agent. Like, I want you to be a better mom, a better sister, a better wife, because like you said, it's not just about the wealth. It's like the generation, that childhood trauma that their grandkids or kids don't have to go through, just because I was able to teach them.
Yeah, everything's nuts.
And raising kids in it, you're like, right, like that kid who just got stabbed and killed in front of their high school, like, and he was 14, and I just think about my kids. Like, my kids are gonna be the kids people talk, oh, that's mommy and daddy's money, and they're the ones that get the most hate and get picked on, and I'm like, how am I going to protect them from that when they're not? How can I teach them to not be arrogant, to not boast about, I was that girl. I love to fight. Yeah. I will never forget one time in middle school, they were jumping this kid, and I jumped in there and pulled all them guys off. I fought back. I'm like, what are y'all doing? They're just looking at me because I was a pretty popular girl, I guess, and I will hustle and bustle if I see someone doing wrong by someone.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I was a fighter for sure. I've got I don't know if he told you, but I got a pretty crazy background.
No, I just got, hey, he's one of the best
Uh,
roofers, and I'll tell you more when we get there. I'm like, cool, I'm game.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't finish high school, so I dropped out in 10th grade. I obviously, like I said, I've been to prison,
Yeah.
been shot multiple times, been stabbed. I've had pretty crazy upbringing too.
Wow, yeah.
You know what I mean? I've only been out not even 3 years yet. So to have bought a
Wow.
house, to have
And you need to touch more on that because
Yeah.
you don't know how many men are lost
Yeah.
and they're surrounded by people who just give in to like, hey, this is just the way life is.
Right.
It's unfair.
right.
And you'll be a light to so many gentlemen that
Yeah.
feel like there's no other way out.
Yeah, and that's what I try to do. So I was a drug addict too. I was addicted to fentanyl.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So full on drug addict, overdosed 3 times. I mean, I had a pretty Kevin knows quite a bit of it.
We need our own Netflix show.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy background. It sounds like you have a pretty crazy background too, so it's cool.
Yeah.
So I do want to get into numbers with you.
Mhm.
So you said you've had consistent $100,000 months. Awesome, that's great. You said year to date you're at $760K.
About 754.
754.
Last time,
Oh, she
and
knows
that was
to the
in August.
dot.
Yeah, no, she just gave me my books, and
Yeah.
she goes, "What are?" I was like, "Okay, what do I need to buy, or what do we need to do?"
Right, right.
Yeah, so I'm up 285 from last year,
Nice.
and that was in August.
Okay.
From August, so it's probably I've already closed. I think 1.5 million. What are we in? We're in October.
Yeah,
So wait,
yeah. October.
so that was in August. I actually sold 3 million in September, and I'm so far with the closing that I have today, 1 million, and I still have
You have a $1 million closing today.
no with the million, it'll be the million so far
Okay.
with this house,
Okay.
and then I still have 900,000 left to close for the end of this.
Nice. So you represent a lot of buyers.
Yes.
So don't realtors make more money in being a listing agent? No.
It depends how they structure it.
Yeah.
I know realtors that will give you a piece of paper and they'll say 6, 7 to 8%, right? So there's never a fixed commission. It's all negotiable depending on what they offer, right? So if you have a seller, you're like, if you're the type of seller who's all like, nah, I want the best, they're going to click 8% because they're going to think that they're getting everything and these bells and whistles, which they probably are depending on the agent.
Right.
So if they take 8%, then it's up to the seller's realtor to see how much they're going to be willing to give the buyer's agent.
Right.
So essentially the realtor
Y'all got to work together.
yeah, so but depending on who's the other side of the spectrum, if they're going to be fair, then they're going to split it 4 and 4%.
Right.
If not, they're just going to give 3, and then the listing agent is going to get 5. Because essentially the listing agent, a right one, is going to spend some money on marketing.
Yeah.
Photos, signage, professional video, Facebook paid ads, all of that fun
Right.
stuff, right? So listing agents do carry a little bit more of a cost. But I've worked a good mixture with sellers and realtors. But also, too, all of my clients are fix and flippers when
Yeah.
it works into sellers. And typically, what do they ask for? Hey, I'm giving you about 10 to 15 houses a year. Cut me a slack on your end of the commission. So typically, I take a cut on my end when I'm representing the seller, and I give the buyer's agent
Right.
typically more because I've already got an established business with my client. So it just really depends on who the client is on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, it sounds like being the buyer's agent is winning because you have a lot less headache listing and Zillow,
It's
dealing with all
honestly,
that extra
yeah,
stuff.
but it's easier being a listing house on the market. You
Yeah.
let the marketing do itself. With the buyer, you could be showing a buyer for 6 months and show them 50 houses for them just to decide, you know what, I don't want to buy a house anymore. And you just gave them 6 months of your time for no pay.
Right. Okay.
So they both have like its pros and cons.
So before you were doing medical assistant, right, nursing, whenever you transitioned to
Yeah.
do real estate, did you had money saved up or were you like, no, screw it?
We had nothing. We were scraping by. He had money, but he poured everything back to his business.
Yeah.
So like we literally just had what we were surviving on for, and then I was a budgeter. Like I already knew, hey, every 2 weeks that we get paid, we're taking this amount, we're putting it here. When it comes to talking about having reserves, I remember our mentor didn't do right by us either. The first year was a little slow for me since I was still learning. So him doing wholesaling was going good. So
Good for them. but I don't get along with people that come from money.
Yeah.
I don't. I just don't. I cannot. I don't get along with trust fund babies.
Difference.
Yeah. It's a very big difference. I've always known it growing up in school and stuff. I was always a hustler, right? I sold shoes. I sold my Halloween candy the day after Halloween.
Yeah.
Like I was always hustling, and my parents never really had money like that. Same. There was a small stint in my life to where my mom had a really good job, and she married a very rich husband. Not very rich. He made $300-400 a year, but at the time, 2008, 2010, shit, that's a lot of money. That's like $1 million now.
Yeah.
And so there was a small 2-year stint in my life to where things were good, but none of it was passed on to the kids. None of it was. It wasn't. We still lived in a house smaller than this. We still, and so there was. Where I went to school, Waxahachie High School, it was a lot of trust fund kids. It was a lot of rich kids. Yeah. And I was a popular kid in school, but I didn't have really a lot of friends that's kids. I wouldn't go over to their houses. I wouldn't hang out with them because I just couldn't relate to them. Yeah. Because we were on 2 different missions. You know, your mission's already set. Yeah. All you got to do is invest the money that's there. I got to make the money and then invest the money that's going to come to me.
And not only that's the sphere.
Yeah.
You know, because that's something I'm glad you touched on that. Coming over here, literally all I had here was mom and my ears. So no, I didn't have this big old friend. I graduated from Khan Academy charter school. I didn't have that whole high school experience to be like, I have everybody, all my friends sharing that I'm a realtor, helping. Like I had to literally go out and get the business. So whenever I hate to invalidate their stats, but it's like
it was like. I know I can't hate on it because my kids will be that way.
Yeah.
That's what me and my girls say all the time. Yes. It's like our kids are going to be set up just like that.
Yeah.
But for us, we don't personally get along with people like that because
it costs us
more. And they always seem to be so cocky.
Yeah.
I'm a very cocky person, but I got the right to be cocky. You were born into this. You know what I mean? You were born into having a trust fund account with $10 million in it. I was born into... I came home from prison with $13.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what TDC gave me. You know what I mean? So I didn't have anything. I worked my way to this shit. So when it comes to people that were born into it, and you know, good for them. My kids will be that way one day. Yeah. But don't come to me acting like you're better than me. Definitely don't try to keep up with the Joneses because you can't. You can't. So yeah. No,
and if it was all stripped away from you, who's gonna survive?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's me toe to toe there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm learning a lot about. I'm doing a lot of psychology stuff right now.
Yeah.
But learning about the fight or flight. So what that is, it's actually your cortisol levels that are raised. So people that have had traumatic experiences in their life, people that have always had to have that fight or flight mode on. It's like a switch. You can't turn it off.
You can't turn
it's
it off.
always on.
That's why people walk around fluffy, swollen.
Yeah.
Kind of that.
Yeah. Whenever you want to transition to real estate, how did they what was the reaction of you doing that?
My mom called me every day for 2 years straight after I left my job and became a realtor and asked me every day when I was going to go back to my job. No, she did not have a good reaction. Every day, hey, so when are you going to go back to work? Hey, how's real estate going? Do you want to go back to your job? When are you going to go back? When are you going to go back? For 2 years straight.
That sucks, yeah.
She kept asking me. And of course, it was whenever you first start as an entrepreneur, it is hard. You do a lot of work with no reward.
Right.
You know, so imagine hearing that every day that I'm over here doing, I'm sowing the seeds, and when you sow a seed, it doesn't grow the next day. And just on top of that, my mom asking me, when are you going to go back?
You're supposed to be being a supporter.
Go back. Go back. So it was very tough until she started. My sister does my taxes, and I think that's kind of whenever my family really realized how much money I actually was making, because she's seen thing. Granted, I have a CPA now, but back then, whenever I actually hit my first 6-figure year, that's whenever my family was like, oh, she really is out here. Because I never really shared that. It's sad to say, but me and my family really don't have that close dynamic, to where we talk. I mean, my mom was just calling me right now. We'll talk every day, but as far as like with my sisters or hanging out all the time, we really don't have that because I don't have the time. I'm literally always working.
Y'all are probably different kind of people, right?
Yeah.
Do they work a 9 to 5?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the same with me and my family. It's harder to have relatable conversations whenever y'all are on 2 different paths and believe 2 different things.
I had one time them tell me, "Are you embarrassed to hang out with us?" And I was like, "Do you realize that sometimes I don't even have time to see my kids?"
Yeah.
You know, like, and you have to. They sometimes family will forget about that. Like, yeah, I'm sorry I can't make it to the dinners or family outings, but sometimes I don't even get to cook dinner for my kids because out working.
Right.
I literally just get there, hey, good night, I'll see you in the morning, and bam, sometimes I don't even get to see them all day, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the hardest things that every entrepreneur that I've at least asked, they're like, your family's going to have to suffer.
And
Not going to be present for a little bit, but it's so much worth it because.
And I'll give you a quote too, and I don't know if you've heard this, but if you haven't, you're definitely going to live by it now. So there's two types of parents. There's two types of dads, okay? Yeah. There's a dad that's at every football game and every baseball game and every school event, and then there's the dad that sponsors the football games and sponsors the baseball games and sponsors all the school events. Unfortunately, I'm going to be there for my kids. I don't have kids yet. Yeah. I got a dog. But I'm gonna
almost there. It's
right,
work.
Yeah, right. So I will be there 100% to what I can be. Yeah. But I know that I will be the dad that sponsors everything. So that's a badass quote. I heard it the other day from another roofer. In fact, I was like, "What the fuck? That's good."
And my kids understand. Like both of my boys now, they know. Even my youngest, that's gonna be 4. My oldest already knows. How many houses you sell? Or mom, are you meeting a client? Are you having a consult? His teachers, whenever they don't know what I do, every new year, they're like, "What do you do?" Because Jaden comes into school asking, "Who built this? Why is it this color? Why is it that?"
Right.
And then we're like, "Oh, we're in real estate." They're like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I have worked on this year is just to make sure that I do show up, but they also understand when I'm not there.
Right. No, for sure. Okay. One more thing.
Yes.
So I don't know how big school was for you, for either one of y'all, but for me, school wasn't anything. I wish I would have dropped out in 4th grade.
I actually want to homeschool my kids.
Nice. Okay. I had to say, that was my question.
I want to homeschool my kids because when have I used the square root of 5?
Right. See,
I care about, I've literally everything. I left school not even knowing how to write a check.
Right. Yeah.
We should be teaching our kids taxes, how to invest, how to take care of your credit.
Yeah.
Those are the things that we need. And also, I have this friend, they actually own, shout out to Maverick Motorsports, Jenny. It's funny how we met. We were on a plane to Cancun together, and then he went to go get his truck, and I happened to get a car the same day he got his truck because I saw the Mercedes out there, and I just literally pulling up, I heard a voice in my head. I'm like, I'm taking her home.
Yeah.
Sure enough, we rode off the block with the F-250 and my Mercedes, and come to find out the owners of that car shop were the people we were sitting with on our way to Cancun.
Oh, wow. Dang, that's crazy.
And they actually just started their development business as well, building this beautiful multi-million home. And she just recently shared that her husband is 24. They run $1 million business, and they were all homeschooled.
Yeah.
I believe it's 3 brothers. Don't quote me. It could be 2. Mm-hmm. That really stood out to me. She goes, they were homeschooled. They were taught the fundamentals of how to work, how to build your business while still learning what they needed to learn.
Yeah.
And she's like, and I'm going to do the same for my kids because it's obviously we're proof in the pudding that it worked.
Yeah.
And that's really now with everything that's going on in like our school systems and just the world in general. I was like, you know what? Am I really setting up my kids for success sending them to regular school?
Yeah.
Whether it's private or public.
And it's getting way worse.
It's
not even about just education.
Am I just
it's educating
send my
in
kids
different
to school
things.
To get killed?
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly. No, that's good. That's good that you're aware for sure. Eyes open. My kids will 100% be homeschooled. My fiance is different. She works a job. She makes 6 figures, right? But she still had to get a degree for the job that she's at. And,
you gotta get the best of both worlds.
Right. It depends on what you're trying to be. If you're trying to be a doctor, if you're trying to be a lawyer, if you're trying to, I don't believe in the whole, I'm going to get a degree in entrepreneurship. like that makes no sense to me. This girl this girl that was working at my office told me that. I'm like, well, you're going to get a degree for what? Like, you can learn that here. Yeah. And so she's really big on school. She graduated high school. She was like valedictorian in her class. Mm-hmm. So she's big on the school, but she's kind of gotten to see it with me. Like you said, the proof in the pudding, to where I didn't have school. I made straight D's. I never once, the entire time I was in school, from kindergarten to when I dropped out in 10th grade, besides PE, I never had an A. Yeah. Not one time. I was not a school person. I'm not a book smart person. I'm a street smart person. So my kids will be the exact same way. I'm going to raise them homeschooled. They will be educated in business. They need to know how to write checks and not how to
Have a good credit
verify
score.
your gender, right?
Yeah.
I'm not.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm not
Yes,
sending my
we're-
kids to school to get killed.
Yes.
I'm not doing that. So that's good that your eyes are open and aware
Yeah,
on
and
that.
I think it really falls down to the way that the system has played in our minds, the feeling of fulfillment. Show up for yourself on the days that you didn't want to.
Yeah.
That feeling you get, like, hell yeah, I
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
You start to get addicted of that. And
Yeah.
I think that's what school does.
Yeah.
Was we don't want to go, we show up and, oh, we did it, we had a good day.
Yeah.
And then, because I remember I used to love being, when I was studying for nursing school, being in the lab, studying, getting the good grades, and I feel like if we can actually do that in the right way and transfer
Right.
it as to you actually showing up for you and not for anybody else, because
Yeah.
school teaches us to make someone else wealthy,
Right.
to do it for somebody else.
Yeah.
We're not taught to do it for ourselves, to
Yeah.
build that generation for ourselves, to
Yeah.
build that legacy for ourselves. They wanted to train us to work, be smart, to make corporations
They don't want
wealthy. But what
entrepreneurs.
about
They
us?
want workers.
They want workers.
They want workers. They want
Yes.
somebody who's going to go flip the burgers, and they want somebody who's going to go pour the concrete.
Yeah.
They don't want somebody that's going to think
That's
outside the
gonna own the
box.
company.
Exactly.
We
exactly.
owning companies
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, it was awesome having you on the
Thank you
podcast.
for
I appreciate
having
you coming
me.
on. If you want to go
Yes.
ahead and let everybody know your Instagram tag.
Yes, it's going to be Alondra Duran, Realtor. Like they say, my social media is my resume. Stalk it.
Come on. Appreciate you, Alondra.
Thank you. Bye.
Until next time on another episode of Hardwired to Hustle.